What? But
I think we're live, and Jason just left us.
I think so too. That's all right.
Hey, we're live. We're live. Hafeman Brothers live.
It's already live. So
Jason
if
is
you've talked
sad.
for a while, then it's been hearing you talk. The world has been.
We've been talking. I don't know.
All right.
Is Ninja?
I'm going to do this entire program like this.
All right. It's improvement.
Which looks better? That's what I say about that game.
That's how I felt after the game.
Okay, final Tuesday of our lives. Or whatever.
Of our lives.
Might as well be. I'm struggling, man. I'm struggling. Struggling hard. I put on about 10 pounds since Sunday.
Me too. It's all my face.
Been drinking unidentified liquid from this flask.
You looked really rough on that Facebook video too.
You're welcome.
I don't know what's going on with you, man. You got to get over it.
I can't. I told you. I told you before. 10 years. It's been 10 years. This was the year. I felt all the things coming together. I believed. I 100% fully believed that the power of good would prevail finally. And instead, what do we end up with? The bad guys, the cheaters, the villains, the people who are willing to sell their souls for victory, advance again. And the good guys, Packers team full of a bunch of nice guys and good guys, right? They're home. I got a couple of fingers I'd like to put up in response to the world on that. But I won't do it on our show because some kids might be watching. It's not this finger.
Don't do it.
Not this finger. Different one.
All right. Are you ready to go here?
I'm always ready to go. Rick's ready to go. Look at him.
All right. Well, I think before Ben goes to hide away and spends the next 6 months listening to Candle in the Wind while watching Aaron Jones highlight videos, I think we got some tough questions for the Hafeman brothers that are on the minds of many Packer fans. So I think while it's still fresh in our hearts and minds, bring it back to Hafeman brothers debate to touch on these key hot topics. So to start with, I think one of the most obvious things in this game was that Kenny King struggled pretty heavily in this game. He came in a little banged up, but let's face it, he got absolutely lit up by half. But, is it Kevin King's fault, or is Pettin to blame, especially for that touchdown at the end of the half? I mean, in other words, so as not to call out an individual player. I mean, this is a team game. Is the major fault the player's fault? Is it coaching, not putting them in a situation to win? Or does it go even higher than that? Is it go all the way up to the top? Dugudi not drafting the talent, not building this team, not making the team into a legitimate contender? Jason.
You want me to go? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Kevin King, whatever the hell his first name is, doesn't matter apparently. If you're a professional broadcaster, you can call him either one. It doesn't matter what his actual name is. Look, it's not his fault he's no good at football or playing cornerback. Not his fault. That's all he's shown you since he's been on the Packers. He's not very good. So it's the general manager's fault for drafting him instead of TJ Watt, who is an impact player and could have been a dynamic player for this defense. And maybe we would have had some pass rush then in this game. Maybe not because we're getting held all game, but, maybe he would have found a way to get around guys. But it's not Kevin King's fault that he's no good at football. And the Packers thought he was. So it's the 2017 is when he was drafted, okay? So Ted Thompson was just about on the way out. But we had heard of his decline the last few years that he was there. So who was actually making those picks in 2017? My thoughts are it's probably Brian Gutekunst making that call too, because we know how stinky he is at making draft choices. He's shown us that for many, many years now since he's been officially the GM. But I think Gutekunst made the call on that one. I think he made the call on some other bad draft picks before he was officially the GM as well. So I'm going to blame Brian Gutekunst for Kevin King. I'm going to blame Brian Gutekunst for putting all this money into guys who aren't that good and don't perform and slack off, like Zadarius Smith, who did absolutely nothing in this game again. Absolutely nothing. I said the whole game, I was like, Z, just make one of your patented, like you didn't do anything the whole game, but you make a big sack or strip fumble or something. Sack fumble play, and all's forgiven. The other 75 plays where you did jack squat is all forgiven if you just make that one play right now to get my man Ty Summers a chance to scoop up a fumble and run it back for a touchdown that gives the Packers the lead. That's what was in my head the whole time. The whole time, those last several drives, fourth quarter drives for Tampa Bay. I'm like, this is where Z is finally going to wake up and finally do it. Did he do it? No. Did he do it for $20 million? No. Could there have been some defensive schemes to help him out by his coach? Yes. Could they have run some twists, some stunts? I don't understand it. I don't understand so much of it. It was clear you were going to get held by their offensive line the whole game. Tom Brady's offensive lines always hold. He brought that down from New England with him to Tampa Bay. He taught his offensive linemen to hold every play, and he taught his defensive backs to hold every play. Because guess what, guys? You can just do that every play. They're not going to throw flags all game long, so just keep doing it. And if you get a couple flags here and there, so what? Because the majority of the plays, you still get to cheat, and nobody's going to worry about it. And it'll help you get an interception because you hold Allen Lazard, and then you pull his jersey right at the end, and then you make a good play on the ball. Give the guy credit for making a good catch. But the only reason why he was running down Lazard's tail is because he's holding his jersey the whole damn time. But that goes back to Tom Brady, too. He brings all that. That's, New England South. He brought all that crap. I got so many emotions. The point is, Kevin King stinks at football. He should not be a Packer. It's the GM's fault, but it's also the coach's fault. Because you see he stinks. You don't have to play him. You don't have to play him. Jerry Gray, step up and tell your young coach, no, don't play this guy. He sucks. Hey, we signed this old guy who's way better. Or we got Josh Jackson, who was a second-round pick, who looked pretty good this year. Why don't we throw him in there? Why don't we throw him in there? We can save Kevin King's pride and say, oh, he's too hurt to play. He's too hurt to play. That's okay. We already said he was hurt earlier in the week. You can save his pride. But he shouldn't have been on the field. Bottom line. Done.
Ben, do you have anything you'd like to add or counter your brother's points on this?
I can't counter anything he said because it's all correct. However, he finally got to the proper point right at the end of his rambling because he blamed Gutekunst for the ghost of Ted Thompson. Ted Thompson passed away last week, and his ghost showed up in this game. His last big move as general manager of the Packers was to trade out of TJ Watt into the top of the second round for Kevin King. And that haunted us to the NFC Championship game this year. But I can't blame Kevin King. We've been talking about how bad he is for 4 years. Every Packer fan knows he's bad. Every Packer fan has known he's been bad for 4 years. So how the hell do the coaches not know that he's bad? That's the problem. It's the coaches. Whether it's Pettin, whether it's Gray now, whether it's whoever it is. And it's not just the defensive backs. It's also the linebackers, where we know Kamal Martin doesn't know what to do on plays. Why is he in there? When we know Christian Kirksey can't run faster than me, why is he in there? When you have players on your team who have agility and speed and maybe just need experience, get him on the damn field. Ty Summers needs to be in the game. He was in the game. But did he practice all week? Probably not. He only got in the game because Barnes got hurt again, so they had to put him in there every now and again. And the schemes. How many times? Even a dummy like me knows you attack Tom Brady up the gut, right at him. And what did Za'Darius do? What did Preston do? What did Gary do? Always around the outside. What did Kenny Clark do? He actually did pretty good. But other guys, they're not going straight. They're trying to go around, going around. If you do that, fine. Send a guy up the gut. And I said, how about if we blitz some Savage every now and again? And what happened? The one time we blitzed Savage, Tom Brady got scared and just threw it up in the air because he got scared. How about we do that a couple more times? Hello? Why didn't we do that earlier in the game? Hello? When you're the coach, you have to know who your players are, what they're good at, and put them in the right position. This coaching staff doesn't do it on defense. And on offense, not really either, but we're talking about defense right now. So as much as I can't stand Kevin King, and he stinks, and one of my favorite guys, Shannon Sullivan, got his butt kicked, we knew Tampa Bay's receivers were really good. And we also knew we can't play man against them. We've got to play zone. And we got to blitz Tom Brady. And that's what we have to do. Play zone, blitz Tom Brady. And what did they do? They played man and sent only 4 guys who got held every play. They just fed right into Tampa's freaking offense, the way they did it the last time. And the only reason why we got lucky is because Tom Brady just threw up some freaking dumb balls 3 times. I mean, how dumb is he? He should have got picked off 2 more times. If that's the other thing. Oh my God, here's the worst one. Redmond. Redmond is your secret deep safety? Redmond? When everybody watches the games and sees him never make a play. Even when Tom Brady gift wraps an interception to him, he still can't do it. And then what happens? They go for it on 4th down, and who can't cover Leonard Fournette, who's not a good receiving back on his backfield? Christian Kirksey lets him get the 1st down on 4th down. And then what happens next play? Kevin King gets this, I don't know what he's doing. They're playing man. And on that play, when you watch back on the All-22, you got Savage, Chris Barnes, and Amos all standing out in the middle of the field. Why? They had no timeouts with 8 seconds. Play back. Well, look out for the boundaries. Play back. Secure the end zone. Secure the sidelines. They're not throwing to the middle of the field. And if they do, you just tackle them before they get anywhere. Coaching. Pettin needs to go. It's time. I mean, it's time. He's the reason. King is bad, but he knows he's bad. I know he's bad. Every Packer fan knows he's bad. How does Pettin not know he's bad? How does Pettin not know Redmond's bad? How does Pettin not know Kamal Martin doesn't know what's going on? How does Pettin let Chris Barnes play when he's only got one hand to tackle with? I mean, I think that maybe Ty Summers might be able to tackle or make a play on the ball a little better because he has 2 working hands. I don't know. I'm not that smart. But that's the problem. That's the problem, Rick. I can't blame the players. And I can't blame Goody because Ty Summers was there. Josh Jackson played okay. He can hold just as well as Kevin King does. And then he can also tackle way better. How about putting him in the game? Goody went and got Tremont so you could play him. Where was he? When you watch these guys can't cover the freaking receivers. Tremont can cover a receiver. He's been doing it for years. Wasn't there? That's coaching. That's coaching. Coaching was the problem. Coaching. I'm done. I don't know if that seemed like 25 years. Was that really 3 minutes or what?
Oh, that was 5.5. So
all right, can I have a quick follow up on that because it is specifically about the defensive backs. And Ben, this is not really part of the debate, but it's just a point to make. Is so the Packers went away from doing what we talked about, what they should do, and they played man most of the game, but they played not press man, they played stupid man. Like, that's what I call it, stupid man, where they stayed back about 5 or 6 yards, let the receivers run to them, and then the receiver could create contact and then push off or create separation. And it was the absolute worst because you didn't slow them down off the release. You didn't throw off the timing. You sat there and waited for them to get to your depth, and then you were in a no-win situation. So that's not good man coverage at all. It's just stupid man. So the players were put in very terrible situations because of the plan and the schemes and the strategies. Like, no sense. And I am sorry. The other part about pressuring Brady, we all knew it. Tom Brady, he didn't play good. He played terrible. He didn't play a very good game at all.
That last one, they kind of blitzed him, and there was guys open. He just like, and he just threw it to the ground because he was like so scared. I mean,
how is that not grounding, by the way? I don't understand how that's not grounding. He wasn't outside the pocket. The ball didn't go to the line of scrimmage. I don't understand how that's not grounding.
I don't know.
Okay, Brady factor. But the other part,
hands up. We got a lot of hands up in this.
The other part that I was really looking for was why, especially when they're getting held a lot and couldn't get a good pass rush on their own. Why was it just 4 guys rush? You guys just rush. There weren't any twists. There weren't any stunts. Like, how about freeing up a guy to come up the middle off a stunt? Come on. That's pressure right in the middle, and give your guy an advantage from the outside to get pressure in the middle right in Brady's face. That's exactly what you needed to do. I'm an idiot. I'm not a football coach who's been studying football.
He's an idiot.
For 20-some years, right? I'm just a moron who lives and talks to people on the internet from my basement. But I know you do that.
All right. Let's now that we've got the juices flowing, you got you guys fired up. Hopefully you got some of your listeners fired up.
God.
I got a message. Eka sent me a direct message on here saying that the chat's not working for people to chat, just so you know. I don't know if Jason can fix that or not, but
I can't.
He said he's watching, but he can't chat.
Dang it. Sorry, I guess. I know. I don't know what's going on with that.
All right. Well, that's all right.
Anything about it.
There goes one of the, I was going to offer, if anyone in the chat had questions they wanted to send through, I'll keep an eye on it if the chat starts working. If you got anything in particular you'd like the brothers to tear apart, go ahead and post it in there. I'll see if we can work it in.
I think I know what the problem is. I think YouTube realized I put in the title Hafeman Brothers talking about the end to the Packer season. Probably figured there was going to be some fireworks, maybe some F-bombs. So YouTube probably disabled the chat.
Who knows? Who knows?
Could be. It's, go
ahead.
Brady conspiracy. And also, I hadn't warned your listeners that we're using the same set of time constraints and warning sounds that we used for the previous debate back in October. So it is something along those lines. So if you hear some flatulating noises, it's not just me or Ben or Jason, but we'll give the first respondent 5 minutes to voice their opinion or facts, whichever you see, and about 3 minutes for rebuttal. We'll give you guys a 30-second warning before we cut in with some fine Jason audio. So, all right. So as you guys have pointed out, the defense clearly had its share of struggles. It wasn't all bad. There were some decent plays. They made some key stops in the game. I think overall the offense had played pretty well despite some pretty sketchy play at both tackles, with Billy Turner looking like Billy Turnstile again in this game. But they missed on many opportunities, particularly in the red zone. I think after the game, the biggest question on most people's minds is, should LaFleur have gone for it on 4th down? Should he have given the offense a shot at the end of the game? Maybe many people are saying you got Aaron Rodgers, arguably the best or second best if people love Tom Brady, quarterback in the game. Why are you taking the ball out of his hands at that point with him having a chance to tie the game? Ben, why don't you start on this one? 5 minutes starting now.
Okay, first things first. Understanding the thoughts of LaFleur, okay? Why he kicked the field goal. This is the thing I think people need to realize. The Packers had the ball inside the 10-yard line twice in this game, had 3 tries each, could not do anything, could not score, had to kick field goal, and had to kick field goal again at the end, okay? The first time, Rodgers looked at Devontae all 3 times, of course, because that's what he does. And Devontae dropped it. Devontae was covered. Devontae was out of the back of the end zone. So, didn't work. Then right at the end of the game, 1st and 8, it was, here's the thing. The first play, first down, was an RPO that should have been handed off to A.J. Dillon, and he would have at least gotten 4 yards, if not more, possibly even a touchdown, because he would have been bulldozing through everybody. But Rodgers pulled up and threw to a non-looking Lazard, because Lazard, I don't know if he wasn't supposed to get the ball, or I don't know what was going on. Lack of communication, RPO decision by Rodgers. 2nd down, empty backfield. 2nd down had an empty backfield, which happened many times this game, but I don't want to talk about that. It's a terrible call by empty backfield. However, Rodgers runs out of the pocket when he has no pressure on him. But I understand that because he's been getting killed all the game, and so he's freaking out. So he tries to move. Maybe the defense will come forward and a guy will come open. Doesn't happen, right? And then 3rd down, we saw he could have ran. There's a big hole. But when you watch the replay back, he never is looking at the hole. He's just looking at Devontae the entire time. Why, I don't know. Because the defense knows that you're going to just look at Devontae the entire time. So maybe look for somebody else, or maybe look for the opening, or whatever it is. Okay? So LaFleur's thinking, okay, we had 2 interceptions just previous, went 3 and out, 3 and out. We had 2 possessions inside the 10-yard line with 3 chances each, could not score. Here's what he's thinking. If we go for it, we have to score a touchdown on 4th down. Then we have to get a 2-point conversion, just a tie. And if we don't get 2-point conversion, we'd have to stop them, get the ball back, and then kick a field goal to win anyway. He's thinking, I got 2 minutes left. I've got 4 stoppages on the clock. If I kick this field goal, we're down by 5. And we have to stop Tom Brady anyway. So if we stop Tom Brady, get the ball back, we can win the game. Period. End of story. It's guaranteed 3 points. And you have to stop Tom Brady whether you don't go for it or whether you do go for it. Because Tom Brady's going to get the ball back. And all the people that say, like, they're all freaking out about this, thinking that LaFleur, oh my God, what was he thinking? I mean, you're not giving Aaron Rodgers a chance? You'd have to get a 4th down conversion touchdown. You'd have to get a 2-point conversion. Then you have to somehow stop Tom Brady with 2 minutes left from getting a field goal. How many times have you watched Tom Brady move the field down and get a freaking cheap field goal victory in the freaking Super Bowl or in the playoffs? It happens all the time. So LaFleur's thinking, we got to score and we got to stop them anyway. So let's score now, stop them anyway, and get a goddamn Hail Mary Rodgers freaking, because we watch Hail Mary Rodgers how many times? Master of the Hail Mary. I understand LaFleur's thinking. But the question is, should LaFleur have kicked that field goal on 4th down? And the answer is no. And you know why the answer is no? Because that's all anybody is talking about now. They're all blaming it on him because of one play, one decision to kick the field goal instead of going for it. Because Aaron Rodgers is going to go for it. He's going to get it. He ain't gotten all game. They couldn't move the ball when they got 2 interceptions. But obviously, Aaron Rodgers can do it. And then they could certainly get a 2-point conversion. And then they could certainly stop the greatest comeback hero quarterback Tom Brady in history from getting a field goal to prevent Tampa from winning. That's all going to happen just because LaFleur decided to go for it on 4th down. Morons, people who think that. But he should have gone for it, because if he would have gone for it, then nobody would be talking about LaFleur's decision to not go for it. They'd be talking about how Rodgers couldn't get it done. So I'm going to say this. Rodgers should be happy that LaFleur made that decision. Because I don't think Rodgers could have gotten a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion, and then the defense stopped him anyways. So LaFleur saved the pressure on Rodgers here. He's taking all the heat. He's taking a ton of heat, and it's not deserved. But he should have gone for it to shut everybody out so he doesn't have to take the goddamn heat for it.
You can tell we're passionate about this. I get to go now, or what's happening?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason. 3 minutes for your rebuttal or agreement.
There's a number. I'm trying to tone it down a little bit. I'm sorry I was yelling so much right out of the gate, but that's how I feel about this game. All right, this point is this. I agree with Ben on the point, but not the reasoning. Now, I agree. I was fine with the decision to kick there. I don't understand why that wasn't clear, though, to Aaron Rodgers from his head coach to say, hey, this isn't 4-down territory here going into it, because Rodgers said he thought on 3rd down, he thought it was a 4-down situation. So he's playing 3rd down like it's, they're going to have one more down to play. And he's a confident guy, so he probably thinks, Ben, that he could get it on 4th down, even if this doesn't work. So if he's in the mindset that this is my last chance, or we're going to kick a field goal here, maybe he does turn his eyes up and maybe he does run on that play and try to go for it. I don't know. But not having that understanding, that miscommunication there was an issue. I'm fine with the decision to kick, but then what I wanted to see was an onside kick or a squib kick to give your guys an opportunity to try to get on the kick versus kicking it deep in that situation. Makes zero sense to me, because you got to get the ball back anyway, right? And here's my thinking. If you try onside kick and you put him in position, I almost called them the Patriots, you put Brady in position, potentially they might play safe and just try to get a field goal to get up by more than a field goal there, or get up by more than 5 points. So they're back up to the situation where they're at 8 points. And then you still get a chance to get the ball back potentially. And maybe you don't have to worry about stopping them from getting a 1st down. So there's all kinds of things there, but you might even give your guys a chance to get the ball. So that's what I was looking at. Now, the people that are all super fired up about it and say it's the worst decision ever, I can't totally say that they're wrong, because it is. This had to be about Rodgers. You had to give him the opportunities to succeed or fail in that instance. And that's what a lot of people are thinking. And I can understand that. I can understand that too. Personally, I don't have a problem with the field goal, but I would have preferred to see Rodgers succeed or fail, because I would feel much better today living with that. Either the guy who's the man makes the play and gets you the touchdown, or he doesn't. Now, could he catch the 2-point conversion for the receiver? I don't know, because EQ dropped the one previously, which hurt a lot. People forget about that too. Catch that 2-point conversion. It's a very different situation there. I know it was slightly deflected by Dominican Sue, but the ball was still right there. If you're concentrating on the ball, you should be able to adjust to a slight alteration in spin. And then the other part, just to point out, to Ben's point that he was trying to talk about, everybody thinking they couldn't stop Tom Brady, the greatest blah, blah, blah guy. Blah. They did stop Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't get a 1st down. The officials got the 1st down for his team. Tom Brady did not get the 1st down. You stopped Brady. Done.
Yeah, I would agree. I didn't love the call at the time. I didn't hate it either. Certainly unconventional, but I guess the counterpoint is that it worked. They should have gotten the ball back, and I didn't really agree with the call that bailed out the Brady and the Buccaneers and gave him the 1st down. But if it wasn't for that call, the strategy would have worked. They would have been getting the ball back with time on the clock. So,
yeah, because that was a terrible pass by Brady there, by the way. It was way overthrown.
Right. Rashawn Gary was getting held by Wirfs on the play as well. So if at the very least, it should have been offsetting penalties and replay 3rd down. That's what should have happened on the play. But they didn't call holding all game on either team, by the way. Exactly. No holds on any on defense, on the secondary, and no holds on any offensive player.
Right.
Which I would love to get in. We'll get into later. But that's as far as the LaFleur thing. It's just like he looked like a guy. The one thing I would say is the communication should have been made with Rodgers. The other thing is I understand he was trying to save timeouts, but that 4th down is this is for the game, right? This is a very important, I would take a timeout, talk it over with my other coaches, talk it over with everybody. And maybe he was talking it over with people, in the headset, on the previous downs, right? And maybe that was the decision they had come up with. But if that was the decision they had come up with, it should have been made clear to Rodgers, because knowing Rodgers, he would have probably tried to make something happen longer, because that third down, he kind of just moved up and then threw it right away, thinking that, okay, I can get this in here, and then on the next play, I'll have to do whatever I have to, run around for 5 years to make something happen, right? Because he didn't run around for 5 years. He ran around for a little bit and then threw it. So I think Rodgers did think he had another play, and it wasn't communicated to him. So that, if anything, I'm mad on the floor for that. That's the coaching decision, not having that communication with your quarterback. But also, Rodgers has been there for 15, 16 years. He's been starting for 13, 14, whatever, how many years it is. I mean, he could ask too, hey, are we going for it on fourth down if this doesn't happen? But there's so many things going on. He's a young coach, and he's a quarterback with guys coming all over him, and he's getting killed. And so, I mean, I understand all that the communication issue kind of went by the wayside, because those guys had a lot of stuff going on. But now they know that, and now LaFleur knows that. It doesn't help him this year, but hopefully it'll help them in the future understanding the communication issue.
Okay. Going back to Jason, how do you feel about the offensive play calling throughout the game, other than the decision at the end of the game? How do you think LaFleur and staff had done calling the game to that point?
You're muted, Jace.
Sorry, I was checking some screen. I was trying to get the chat going here, see if I refreshed, if something was happening. Anyway, okay, so the point is, yeah, I mean, the run wasn't working well. Okay, the run was not. I know they had a decent average, but they also had a number of 1-2 yard runs where it was just stuffed. Guys fighting hard. You had, Jones fumbling twice, which not on running plays, but still you had the 2 fumbles there, and you had Williams. So Williams, and then Jones got hurt. So then Williams was their only guy. And then all of a sudden, after that second fumble that's recovered by the Yuccaneers, and then they get another touchdown, you're down 18. And that's when in the chat I was involved in and watching, and everybody's like, game's over, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, no, game's not over. But what has to happen here is Rodgers has to take over. Rodgers has to be the man, because nobody has confidence right now. Nobody thinks they can do it. Everybody thinks they're done. And he needs to be the man right here. And for 2 drives in a row, it was all on his shoulders, and he needed to do it, and he did it. He worked with his receivers. The offensive line was good enough. He moved around when he needed to, and he made the plays and made the drives to get them back in the game. But that's then where you then needed to adjust back to incorporate the run. And the primary reason for that is because those tackles could not handle pass blocking all those plays in a row. They're not good enough. We knew they weren't good enough. Tampa Bay knew they weren't good enough. JPP, he knew Rick Wagner wasn't good enough, or Billy Turner, whoever he was going against. Shaq Barrett knew they weren't good enough to block him every single play. So you had to, even if you're going to have 1 yard runs, once you got it back to within a score, you had to incorporate the running game again, just to keep those guys off balance a little bit, slow them down, and then maybe you could do some play action in there too and catch a big play and hit them for one. But they didn't do that. They stuck with the same offensive approach that got them back in the game, which I understand. You're like, oh, this is what's working, so we're going to do pass. We're going to go spread. We're going to do empty sets. No. At that point, get back to your regular offense. Run the plays. Incorporate the run game, because these tackles are not good. They were not. Had we had Jared Valdir available, maybe it would have been better. Bakhtiari not hurt. Okay, different stories there. But you didn't. You had these 2 guys. You knew that's what you had. You had to adjust at that point. So they didn't. That was the worst part for me. And then they went 2 3 and outs. And it was because bad protection. Not on the same page. Some stuff happens. Rodgers getting pressure. Okay. A couple of sacks. I mean, I don't know. To me, I was fine with the game plan and the offensive approach most of the game, except for there. Once you got it back to 1 score, you had to reincorporate the running game. And it wasn't because of your offense. It wasn't because of your backs. It wasn't because of your quarterback. It was because of your offensive tackles. They needed that. And it could have started to wear down the Buccaneers defensive line more, which then I'm fine with Jamal Williams running that situation. Okay. He ran hard again. You know, he didn't always get places, but he ran hard, and I was fine with him. It sucked to lose Jones. That's our guy. That's our guy who's a difference maker in the run game, who could take it the distance for you and blow up in a big play. You don't have him anymore. I understand. But that decision there was what I think ultimately cost them offensively. I'm done.
Ben, you have anything to add?
Heck yeah, I do. Here's the thing.
3 minutes.
I might need more. You should have went to me first. The biggest thing is this. We talked about it with the defense. You know what you have in Kevin King. You know what you have in these guys. They're not good. We know what Billy Turner is. We know what Rick Wagner is. We know what these two guys can do. How in the hell do they never get help? Now, they did it a couple times where A.J. Dillon stayed in the backfield and helped Rick Wagner. There's one time where Rick Wagner got his butt kicked, but then A.J. Dillon went up and smacked the crap out of Shaq Barrett and knocked him on the ground. Awesome. Helped out. There's another play where Tunyon helped out Billy Turner and double teamed him for a little bit before he snuck out. But then Rick Wagner got schooled so bad that Rodgers still got sacked, so it didn't matter because it only helped on one side, didn't help on the other side. The other thing I said on Friday, I said, there's going to be 3 or 4 plays that are going to be schemed up to get guys open, right? That's what I said. And Rodgers needs to hit those plays. There were no plays that were going to be schemed up to get guys open. There were a couple that were called. And I want to go over a couple of them. After the first Jair interception, there is a play action play that I think was going to be a deep shot they were going to try to take with play action. And Tampa Bay blitzed 2 defensive backs off both sides. And Rodgers kind of stepped up in the pocket, but got hit in the back right as he was letting the ball go, and it ended up fluttering and going nowhere when MVS was wide open. Would have been a huge play. But because the blitz came on both sides from corners who were fast and get around and get up, there was nothing they could do. Then the second down play was a 5-yard pass to Williams. And then third down, Wagner got destroyed, and Billy Turner got bull rushed, and Rodgers had 1 second. 1 second to look at the defense and try to throw the ball. And it was the end. Punt. After the second Jair intersection, the first down play was an empty backfield with everybody split out. Nobody helping the tackles at all. Empty backfield on first down after you just get an interception. I mean, guess what? Everybody knows you can't run it then. So Shaq Barrett and JPP are going to school Turner and Wagner, and they did. They destroyed them. And Rodgers had 1 second and got sacked. Now he has a 1-yard sack because he moved up in the pocket, but still. Then second down, they take a deep shot to MVS when MVS got tugged out a little bit, and the pass was crappy, and it didn't go. And then third down was when Lazard got raked 3 times and then dropped the pass over the middle. But the thing that's weird is on the play after the first interception from Brady, that drive, they ran the ball, they had play action, they used Dillon in the backfield to run and also to help pick up the blitz. That was the series where he picked up the blitz and helped out. And they moved the ball. They had 48 passes and only 16 runs in this game. And sometimes they were lining up, like I said, with an empty backfield, with just Rodgers and nobody else and no help for the tackles. When you know, or at least, apparently they don't know. We know, but they didn't know that their tackles can't block for more than 1 second. That's a problem. That's coaching problem. You should know this stuff. If they need my help, I will gladly go and tell them what players can do what on their team. Because Wagner and Turner can't do it. And we know this. And they proved it in week 6. Did they think magically they were going to learn how to block? No, they didn't. Why did they get no help? Where was the play action pass? Where was the rollout? None of that worked. And then also, I said on Friday, attack the middle of the field behind the linebackers. That's where the weakness is. Don't go at the corners. The corners hold. They'll beat you up. And on one play, it worked, and that was Tunyon's touchdown. They ran shallow crosses in front of the linebackers, and the linebackers looked at the shallow crosses and got caught looking, and Tunyon sneaked right behind them. Touchdown to Tunyon. Boom. Beautiful play. Should have been way more plays like that. Make the linebackers have to think. There were the weakness in coverage, and they didn't.
He can have a little of my time if he's got anything more.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just, it was just all the things that we talk about every day, every week. And I'm not even a good, like, I never played football. I love football. I love to watch it. I love to study it and learn things and do as much as I can. And I can see the weaknesses in Tampa Bay's defense. I can see the weaknesses in our own offense. And I can see how to attack them the best we can with the guys we have based on their talents. And I don't even know the players. I don't work with them every day. So how do these guys not able to do that? And how do they not adjust throughout the game? Why are they calling empty backfields in the fourth quarter after an interception return and on second and freaking goal from the 8-yard line? You call an empty backfield? You can still run the ball there. You can still at least give them the thought that you might run the ball there. But when you have nobody back there with Rodgers, everybody knows it's pass. They're going to be playing pass. Give them at least the thought that it might be a run, at least. After Aaron Jones' fumble, my heart was destroyed. And the very next play, Tampa Bay ran a play-action pass with one guy in the route, a tight end, and nobody covered him. Amos bid on the freaking play action. Everybody bid on the play action and left Brait wide open. Packers did zero play action inside the red zone. Zero. They kept trying to do freaking empty backfield, spread everybody out, and Tampa Bay just sat in their zone and covered everybody. And Rodgers had nowhere to go. They didn't fool him. They didn't try to fool him. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. I'm done.
I mean, just one quick follow-up. The other thing about those empty sets was exactly that. You knew, you saw it. You saw the amount of pressure coming off the edges the whole game. So even if you at least keeping him back in to chip and then have him sit out in the flat and be a safety valve in case that pressure comes fast. I mean, come on. That's inexplicable. I mean, because to put him out in the slot or have him go, even sometimes like Jamal Williams is lined out wide, the farthest wide left or right. And you're just like, what is he going to do there? He's not going to do anything from that spot. He's just taking up space. They're not going to respect him out there. And if you try to throw a pass to him like you normally would to an outside receiver, he's probably not going to make that play. So come on, man. Just unbelievable.
All right. I think we could spend a lot of time going through the many issues with this week's game. Let's try to look at some bigger picture issues. Don't want to look back too much, but many people would say that we're seeing a different relationship between Rodgers and LaFleur this year, or at least it seems like it to those of us from the outside perspective. Do you think now that is more evidence that LaFleur was not the one for pushing for taking Jordan Love in the draft? And if that's the case, is it Goody that would be solely accountable for not addressing the needs that this team had coming into the season during the offseason? There were obviously holes on both sides of the ball that everybody knew needed to be addressed if this team wanted to have a shot at making it to the Super Bowl this year. Ben, do you want to start this one?
Yeah, I mean, originally I thought LaFleur wanted to have somebody he could mold or somebody who would run his offense the way he wants it called and all that sort of thing. And more throughout, and maybe he did, I don't know. But more and more throughout the year, I watched him in press conferences numerous times talk about how incredible Rodgers is at being able to make a play when it's not there. And sometimes when he doesn't make a good call, Rodgers makes a good play anyway, or the team makes a good play out of the crap he called or whatever it was. And sometimes they run a great scheme and it works. And sometimes you need an awesome guy to make the play. And LaFleur seemed to come around on that and often say positive things about Rodgers in that way. And his response after the game, when somebody said, "Oh yeah, Rodgers said something that he doesn't know where his future is next year," blah blah, or in his future with the Packers. And LaFleur in his press conference, he looked shocked. I mean, he was just like, "Well, he better be back. mean, he's the guy. He's the guy. We need him, guy. We need that guy. And his response was an honest, like slap to the face. Like, what? No, Aaron Rodgers next year. Oh, I need Aaron Rodgers next year. I need Aaron Rodgers as long as I can get him. And that was an obvious, clear response, which shows me that if he had anything to do with it at that point in the past, he sure as heck doesn't want anything to do with it now. Which goes to the point that, yes, the reason why, despite all of the blunders we just mentioned with play calling and offense and scheme, defense, play calling and scheme, playing the right players, playing the wrong players, the weaknesses in the Packers from last NFC Championship game to this NFC Championship game, all the same weaknesses. We needed a backup outside line or offensive lineman, preferably a tackle, because Brilaga always got hurt last year, and Bakhtiari got hurt last year. They didn't draft anybody. They signed Rick Wagner off the scrap heap, and he couldn't handle it. We needed defensive tackle help. They didn't draft anyone. They didn't even sign anybody until they finally got Snacks with like a couple of weeks left in the season. I don't even know if he even played. I saw him a couple times. That was about it. We needed an inside linebacker playmaker guy. We drafted an injured player from Minnesota who also got injured again and didn't know what was going on half the time, and a rookie free agent who had a club on his hand. And we let Tremont Williams go and didn't address anything with corner. Same guys we had from last year who couldn't stop anybody, Kevin King. I mean, Chan Sullivan was good, but last year Chan Sullivan was a dime back. He wasn't the nickel guy. So he was covering the fourth best receiver. This year he moved to the third best receiver, and he had some issues because sometimes he got stuck on the second best receiver, and he couldn't handle it. But the bottom line with Jordan Love is this. Goody did it. Goody screwed everything up. He's the one who made the team stink this year, but yet still be good by doing the same crap he did the year before and not fixing any problems and just creating more problems. And why? Because he wanted to have that Ted Thompson moment where he drafts his guy, and that's the guy he's going to go with, and that's the guy he's going to, like Ted Thompson drafted Aaron Rodgers, then Aaron Rodgers became the great player that he was. And Goody's like, Rodgers is about the same age as Favre was when we drafted Rodgers. I know. I'll get my guy. And then in 3 years, he'll be great. And then I'll have the same reverence as Ted Thompson as being a genius who drafted the quarterback of the future for the next 10 to 15 years. But he didn't think, I already got the quarterback for the next 5 years or more. He's already there. What the crap? And then you watch our reaction video from then, you saw. We all knew it. The fans all knew it. The whole world knew it. And as much as Aaron Rodgers played great this year, you think he would have liked to have some help on the defensive line or the linebackers? Or maybe a slot receiver with shiftiness? Because I love Alan Lazard, but he ain't shifty. I love MVS. He's fast. He ain't shifty. Tavon Austin is not what he used to be. They tried. They picked him up. That was a little too late. So I'm starting to think LaFleur had nothing to do with it, and now he's got to deal with it. And he's got to deal with this team. And now, with all these free agents they might lose, it's going to look like what that sounded like next year.
Right. Jason, your thoughts? Anything you'd like to counter that your brother had to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's I came out and I said on videos earlier this year that we did in the off season around the draft, some of the comments that swirled around because it was so much back and forth and inconsistent messaging between Gutekunst and LaFleur and everybody else. I thought LaFleur was running the whole show. I thought Gutekunst was his patsy and he was trying to build his own thing, and for the same reasons that he wanted to have his guy that he could mold and all this sort of stuff. But I didn't believe that after a little while, and I don't believe that anymore. I was wrong. It's Gutekunst, it's related to his ego. And he's proven that just in general with his drafts since he's been the GM, where the guys that he stuck with, the decisions he made, some of the money that's been shelled out to guys that he drafted. And then some of these free agent signings too, like, yeah, he's trying. Okay, I'll give him credit for that. But he sometimes in free agency, you get a guy, they do well that first year because it's a new team, they're motivated, all this sort of stuff. And then guys just kind of fall a big step down, or they don't produce the same. And, sometimes those guys need to be cut. Sometimes if you had a contract situation set up where the guy's a cuttable guy, it's time to get rid of him and move on. And I don't think Brian Gutekunst wants to do that. I don't think he wants to admit he's wrong, and he's wrong a lot. So I don't think he can avoid admitting he's wrong, but I do think he tries to avoid it. And he talks real nice, and he's kind of slick, in the way he communicates, and so calm and easygoing and friendly and all that stuff. And it kind of masks the monster ego within that guy, because I think it's there. And I think it was the exact same thing Ben's talking about. So I can't dispute that. I think LaFleur's trying to do the best he can with stuff. The only thing I think LaFleur had any influence in was DeGuara, because he wanted a certain type of player to fit that H-back role and you could do different things with, and he didn't think he had that guy with Tunyon. And so that's the only thing. But the rest of the guys, no. Did he want a 250-pound back? No. Did he want, to replace Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams? No. Did he want, this inside linebacker from Minnesota? Whatever. Who knows? I don't think so. I think Goody's to blame for a lot. He didn't address anything. This draft, anybody that criticized the draft in the offseason was absolutely correct. The people that said the draft was fine as long as the Packers did well, that's just the stupidest argument I've ever heard. They could have used that help in this game and this season. Instead of a quarterback who is inactive every week, a running back who didn't play that much, a bunch of guys who didn't play hardly at all, and some guys that got cut.
Yeah. Hard to argue with that.
Although the 6th-round lineman, I would have been fine if he would have played. I mean, he did pretty good. Put him in there.
Runyon Bunyan was awesome when he played. They should have played him more.
I think especially with what we saw out of the veterans that they were forcing into the tackle slots.
Yeah.
And as we've been talking about pretty much every week this season, Bruce and his cutting half the team. Obviously, the Packers are facing some salary cap issues this year. And clearly, this was the last time that we've seen a number of these guys in green and gold, for better or for worse. I think one of the biggest questions, something that Ben has already touched on, is what comes next for Aaron Rodgers. As Ben already told us, it seems like LaFleur is surprised that they're being questioned about it. He wants him back. Does Aaron want out of Green Bay? Should he want out of Green Bay? Or is it just who the heck knows what's going to happen in the offseason this year? Jason, why don't you take that one first?
It's really sad, man. I mean, you just look at the financials of it, and I know Bruce has he's trying to help the team out with, saying to cut all these guys so you can keep certain guys. But regardless of how they jockey some things around, there's going to be some really important guys that are no longer going to be on the team, and guys that we really like. And I think guys that here's the fear, right? Gutekunst has already shown he's not good at evaluating talent. So you're going to lose good guys, and who's going to replace those guys? Probably guys that kind of stink. So if Robert Tunyon's not on the team next year, that's a real possibility. Aaron Jones, a probability. Alan Lazard. You got to sign him to a multi-year contract now. You can't just keep doing these one-year cheapos. He's too good. He's too important. And he is important to the team. He was just asked to do a role sometimes that wasn't good for him. He shouldn't be kind of this overly universally used guy like a slot receiver would be, where you're expecting that type of play out of him. You need his blocking. You need him to play in that number 2 spot. There's offensive line guys, defensive guys. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, and the scary part is who are they going to get to fill in those holes that are cheaper, or they're going to have to be draft picks. And we know Goody's track record on draft picks. Come on, Hunter Bradley, the long snapper, his best draft pick from probably his first draft. I don't know. I mean, I suppose Jair's is best. But
should Rodgers want out?
Oh, is that the question?
That was the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the question was, could I hammer on Gutekunst a little more? Sure, okay.
No.
Okay, should Rodgers want out?
It's your show.
Yes. I'm telling you, this one's super hard for me. But I looked at everything that's happened. And I told you guys, I've seen I haven't, up until this year when he started doing the really long interviews on Pat McAfee, I haven't seen every single one of those. I've seen most of them. But I watched every other Aaron Rodgers press conference in his lifetime as a player and the professional in the NFL with the Packers. And he should want out. He's seen other guys do it. He's seen other guys have Super Bowls late in their careers, and all of a sudden they got chances because they got on the right team, or they got with a team that knew what the heck they were doing, or had a good defense or whatever. And he's still a guy that can be the man, but to be on a team where he doesn't have to be, man, he could do it. I mean, just look at the track record. Look at the points against the Packers under Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. I mean, what is he supposed to do? And I know, okay, he didn't come through on a couple of plays and he missed some stuff. And they had 2 chances after interceptions where they went 3 and out. I get it. We covered all that. But you're expecting the guy to always be perfect, to always overcome. And that's the pressure that's on him. That's what's expected of him all the time. He looks at what Peyton Manning did. Come on, Peyton Manning. Yeah, the first year he went to the Broncos, he threw for 8 million yards and 50-some touchdowns and all that. Okay, great. And then he couldn't even throw the ball. But he got to win another Super Bowl because he had a team that had an awesome defense. If I was Aaron Rodgers, based on the whole history, I would go over to the Packers and I'd say, take some of your money back. Just let me go. Let me go where I want to go. And as a Packer fan, that kills me because he's awesome and I've loved his career. But because he's awesome and because I think he deserves a realistic chance to be on a team who's trying to win the Super Bowl and not just trying to be good enough to make the playoffs and keep the fan base interested and make money, I want to see him do that. I want to see him be able to have that opportunity. And the big part is because I don't want this for him. Look at the situation he dealt with coming into the league. The situation he dealt with when they made the transition, people threatening his life, all the crap. Then Favre comes back and people are talking, well, he's going to get his job back and this and that. And he almost could have if McCarthy didn't have the stones to stand up to Favre. The one thing I give McCarthy credit for was that. But that's the kind of crap. And then he dealt with the questions and all the scrutiny the whole first year and years and years and years. So a guy had to deal with that on his way in. I don't want to see him have to deal with that crap on his way out. He doesn't deserve that. So he deserves to go to a place where they appreciate him fully and he has a chance to actually win another Super Bowl or 2.
Ben, your thoughts?
Rick, quick question first. Are we going to have a question about Packers salary cap for the season coming up or anything like that in the future, or can I add that into this?
Well, where I was going to go next is one thing that occurred to me is that we're seeing a lot, like right now, the quarterback merry-go-round, right? I mean, the market for quarterbacks getting moved is crazy. And is that something that could appeal to Goody? Like if people are willing to give up a ton to try to get Matt Stafford, what could he get for Rodgers on the open market? So, is that going to be a concern from the GM standpoint?
Well,
and if so, what is it? Is this the time to rebuild or not?
Yeah, I heard one quick thing. I heard them talking about, it'd be multiple first round picks. Great. What's Gutekunst going to do with those? Come on.
Hey, Jair Alexander, Jenkins,
second round pick.
Well, still a good pick.
Probably not his
Savage pick. Savage has been pretty dang good this year. He made a bad play. He judged the ball bad in the area on that deep ball, but his pressure was good. Rashawn Gary's been really coming around. There's been his drafts have actually been. I mean, Ty Summers. He drafted Ty Summers. We both like him. Pettin won't play him. What's he gonna do? I don't know if Goody's as bad as you think he is. Now, as far as the draft evaluator of talent, decision maker on who to draft and when to draft him, that's a problem. I mean, Jordan Love is a problem. When it comes to Rodgers, this is whether the team should want him back or not. They want him back because even if they don't want to win the Super Bowl, which it's obvious they don't, they just want to keep winning just enough to stay relevant. They don't ever want to go all in like Tampa Bay did this year, and they went for it. They got there. They just want Rodgers because as long as they get the superstar quarterback, they're relevant. They're going to be on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football and primetime games, and everybody's going to want to watch the Packers, and they're going to be in the playoffs just about every other year, if not every year, because they got a great quarterback. So, yeah, they want him. Just until they think Jordan Love's ready, and then they'll ship him out of town. And they'll get rid of him. But should Rodgers want that? And you're right, he shouldn't. He should be like, screw this crap. The other thing is, he's going to guest host Jeopardy in about whatever that in the next couple months, right? He's one of 4 people guest hosting. And as we know, Rodgers doesn't like to throw that much in the offseason. He's not really like a football crazy guy. I'm thinking, and he's talked about doing something in the entertainment field after he's retired from football. What if he does this guest hosting gig with Jeopardy? Has a great time. Because Jeopardy's his favorite show. He watches it every day. I've heard him say it on Pat McAfee every day, 6 o'clock. Got to watch Jeopardy. He says it all the time. What if he has an awesome time? And it's great. And it's like it stimulates his mind, which he loves to do. He's a big, smart guy, right? And he goes back and looks at the Packers and he's like, wow, I got a guy breathing down my neck at quarterback. I got a GM who won't give me anybody to help. He signs lazy jerks into free agency, makes poor decisions all the time. My coach is young. He's still learning. He's a great guy, but he's still got some problems. Do I really want to deal with this crap? And everything I said one little thing after a game where I got destroyed and lost at the last second. And the very next day, everybody went nuts saying that I went out of town. I can't even do anything. Every time I say something, people take it and twist it and make it however they want to turn into big news. I look at somebody weird, and it's the freaking worst thing in the world. But I can go on Jeopardy, and now that Alex Trebek is gone, I could be the host of Jeopardy for the next 30 years until he's 60-some, 70 years old. He could do it that long. Be on TV every night. Be a national known man, and be happy and be content. And no, he can walk away right now and be known as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. If I was Rodgers, I would look at this team and say, this was my best shot. Unless they can somehow make a miracle happen next year and get a bunch of guys and cut a bunch of guys that stink and magically draft a bunch of good players, we're not getting back there anytime soon. And they're going to want me out of town. But I could live my dream of not only being on Jeopardy, but being the host of Jeopardy. I think that's what Rodgers would want. I think he would love that. And I think he would be happy, very happy. Probably as happy as he was this year. He said it was the best, most enjoyable season he's ever had. His mind is in the right place. He had a great time. And I think being a host of Jeopardy would be the perfect job, and his lifelong almost fit him to a T. And I think he could walk away. I think when he walks away from football, he's not going to be one of those guys who goes on TV shows and talks about football all the time. He's not going to be hanging around and showing up all the time to do. I mean, he'll show up as to help, like, for charity and stuff, because he's a good guy. He does that. But he's not going to be like a football hanging around kind of guy. He's too broad with his stuff he's into. And if I was him, I'd be like, you know what? I made a lot of money doing this, and I could probably make just as much money doing Jeopardy. I don't know how much money Alex Trebek makes. Who knows? I don't know. But he'd be happy. And then he leaves the Packers and Goody with this just big, giant mess. Because without Rodgers, what are they going to win? Like 6 games? Come on. So I would say Rodgers should want out. And if that Jeopardy thing happens for him, I would be happy for him. I think he would love it. And I think he could walk away and be content with his play on the field for the last, I don't know how many years. Because no matter what he does, Tom Brady's going to play for like another 3 years. He's never going to get all these records. He's just not. It's over. He's never going to be the greatest of all time in like 90% of people's thoughts. But he could be the happiest he's ever been and have a really long career as the host of Jeopardy. Wouldn't that be something? So I think he should get out. I really do.
I think so too.
I think it sucked for us, but I mean, hey.
I'm telling you the same thing. Just a quick follow-up is I was thinking that too. I kind of like to see him just retire, take control back, and then he can decide what he wants to do, because you're right, Ben. There's what else other than winning another Super Bowl, there's nothing else he needs to accomplish or can accomplish that's going to change his legacy or what he's done in football. So what's the point? If he's stuck on a team that's not serious about trying to get there, even though we want to believe, as Packers fans, we want to believe that they are committed to trying to win the Super Bowl every year. But come on, the decisions they've made, the front office has done, commitment's not there. They're not going after these guys that they need to really push it over the top. And then you look at the draft last year and they didn't address any of the holes. So come on. For him, I want to see him have that opportunity. And you're right. The Jeopardy thing, I think he'd love it and he'd be great. And what the heck, man, live and enjoy your life. You've done enough with football and we love the time you've given us as Packers fans, and you deserve to do what makes you happy.
Well, as someone who likes Jeopardy, I think that'd be a cool way for things to play out. So I kind of hope you're right about that, Ben. Looking at this from the Packers front office, from their standpoint, is this the time to just cash it in, blow up the team, start to rebuild? I mean, clearly they locked up a lot of money in some guys in the last couple of years, and they're in a really bad salary cap situation. So is this a time to start molding things into, the Goody envisioned future? Ben, do you want to start on this, or?
Well, if it's
Goody's vision,
I'm a little scared about that. But I mean, what it comes down to is Rodgers, right? I mean, we've heard things. He was on McAfee today, and the way he was talking, he was like, "Hey, I barely said anything. I was down in the dumps, and like, what do you think?" I'm like, I don't know what I don't have control anymore. He said it again. I would love to be like Kobe or Tim Duncan, a guy who was in one team for his entire career and retire as that guy. And that might be another thing. He could retire right now and be a host of Jeopardy, and hey, there you go, right? But if he would decide for some unknown reason to not want to come back, okay, then they need to just do that. I mean, they need to get. I mean, here's the numbers. Zadarius Smith next year makes $20 million. His dead cap would be $10 million. So you're actually saving $10 million by getting rid of Zadarius Smith. Preston Smith is $16 million next year. His dead cap is $8 million. So you'd be saving another $8 million by cutting Preston Smith. That's $18 million you can work with. Christian Kirksey makes $8 million next year. He's only $2 million to the dead cap. That's another $6 million you get. And when you go to the offense, you got Rick Wagner, makes $6 million next year. It's only $1.75 million to the cap. See ya. Billy Turner makes $8 million, but it's 4.5 to the cap. They'll probably keep him, but they shouldn't get rid of him. But here's the one. This is the one that people are going to be like freaking out about when I say this. But this is the move they should do. Whether Rodgers comes back and plays, or whether he decides not to, or whatever is going on. Or they trade him, or whatever happens, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like he's coming back. That's awesome. But if he's coming back, or whether he doesn't, this is the move that needs to happen. Davante Adams needs to go. Either be traded or cut. He's in the last year of his contract for next year. He's $16.6 billion to the cap next year. His dead cap space is $3.6 million. That gives you $13 million to work with. There's Aaron Jones right there. There's Corey Linsley and Robert Tonyan right there. There's Lazard, Tonyan, Jamal Williams, just by cutting Davante or trading him or whatever. And the other thing that would happen is this. Rodgers' one flaw, the thing I get the most mad about, well, he's got two flaws. He lets the clock go down to zero all the goddamn time and drive you nuts. And his other one is he's always looking to Davante. Always looking for Davante. And it haunted us in the NFC Championship game. Well, if Davante's not here anymore, he can't be looking at Davante all the time. He's going to have to run the play and go progression 1, 2, 3. Progression 1, 2, 3. Dump it to the running back. He'll have to do that. And we know we've got Tonyan. I want to see Tonyan be more involved. Tonyan had 6 targets in this game. He should have 9 a game, period. He's too good. Adams had 15 targets again. And he only had 67 yards. That's really freaking sad. That's 4 yards per target, which is pathetic. That's as a wide receiver. No. That's the guy that needs to go. Rodgers needs to stay. Z, Preston, Kirksey, Wagner, and Turner's actually not bad at right tackle. I keep him at right tackle, but not left tackle. And Adams. Cut all those guys. You have enough money to get Tonyan, Jones, Lazard, Corey Linsley back, Shannon Sullivan back, Lancaster back. All those guys would be able to come back if you cut Preston, Z, Kirksey, Wagner, and Davante Adams. And it sounds crazy because he's the greatest. He's the number 1 receiver in the league. He dropped a freaking touchdown. He didn't know where he was in the back of the end zone. He was caught it out because he didn't know where he was. That's the number 1 receiver in the league. He doesn't know where he is in the back of the end zone. Takes him too long to get open. Yeah, he's got great juke moves. He beats the guy off the line. If Rodgers is your quarterback, he's a better quarterback with Davante Adams not on the team. And it would give you enough money to sign back all your other playmakers, and then you draft maybe a guy, please, and make something. So it's not a complete blow up, but you get rid of the dead weight. You get rid of the guys that are problems, taking up money, and aren't doing it on the field. And I know it sounds crazy, Davante Adams, get rid of him, and people are like, you can't do that. He's the number 1 receiver in the league. I understand. But I'm telling you, that's $13 million you save. And you also save Aaron Rodgers' play. He's a better player with Davante Adams not on the team. So don't break up everything. Just get rid of your dead weight.
Right. Jason, your take on this?
Oh, man. I mean, yeah. It would be nice if all those moves are made. I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, it would force Goody to eat some crow on some of his big name decisions that he made, and I don't think he's willing to do that. The one thing I would say, it's almost like this decision has to hinge on Aaron Rodgers or not. But I think what's going to happen is Aaron Rodgers is going to wait and see what the front office does, and then make his decision. Like, maybe I will retire. If they like, hey, we're going to keep all these guys, or let all these good guys go and keep our money here and there and all of that, then he might decide to hang it up and take control back. Because you can, as we've seen, You can always come out of retirement anytime you want and play for then. You can play for whoever the heck you want. So I just think here's what I do think. If Aaron Rodgers decides to take that step, whether it means he's done with football or he's just trying to get with a better situation and a better team, which there are better situations. I mean, the Colts would be amazing to be on. I mean, look at what old man Rivers did with them this year. You got a good running back, good running game, offensive line, defense is good, good coach. I mean, that would be playing a dome 8 games a year where you don't have to deal with all the crappy conditions. Can you imagine if Aaron Rodgers played most of his career in a dome? What kind of numbers he'd have? And come on. Anyway, the whole, if he decides to do that, then I think important to unload a bunch of those big price guys and eat some of those cap hits, because not only does it give you some of the money Ben talked about, but it also rephrases the team and adjusts the fan base's expectations. Because then the fan base is like, oh, we got rid of all of our great players. So, okay, we're going to suck for a while. We're going to rebuild. We're going to give this a chance to work. And you're setting the table for the fans then to at least get in line with that stage of thinking while you figure out what the heck you're going to do next. Because I don't know what the Packers do next. To me, A.J. Dillon is not a make a difference running back. He's a solid complement, a guy you have in there with somebody else who's better at running long distance or can be a game breaker. And he's a guy you can plug in, but he's not going to make a huge difference. What's your quarterback situation going to be? Probably not that great. You got offensive tackle problems. Got a lot of money tied up in Bakhtiari. And he gets injured every year now. I mean, for the last how many years? He's injured a few games every year for the last 3-4 years. So I would almost advocate and think you would do it more for that reason. Well, maybe you do it for the other reason because you're trying to rebuild, but you also do it because it helps you with the fan base. If you cut the big names, Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and some of these other guys that got a big name, big money, or hey, maybe for Z Smith, you could, because he's all pro and 2-time Pro Bowler, maybe you get some draft picks for him that you could waste. But I mean, whatever. So that's what I would say. Yeah, I think it hinges on Aaron Rodgers.
Well, the thing that's scary, though, real quick, if they cut these guys, probably 70 to 80% of the fans aren't going to get that. They're going to be mad, dude. If Zadarius Smith, because all they hear is Zadarius Smith is an all-pro, second-team all-pro, Pro Bowl player. Look at all the sacks he gets. He's so good. They don't know that he stinks all the time and he gets blocked by wide receivers, right? And if Devontae, like people would lose their mind if they got rid of Devontae. They would lose their freaking mind. And not only that, Aaron Rodgers would probably lose his mind because he loves Devontae, just like he loves Big Dog and he loves Bakhtiari that got his big money, all that stuff. And if they end up doing some of the stuff I said, he might. Maybe Rodgers says Billy Turner is good. I've heard him say it many times. Maybe he won't get it. Maybe he does. For a guy who's that smart, I don't know how he doesn't get Billy Turner stinks.
He watches the film. He sees he's not good. He just has to say that stuff to try to help people.
He said he's good many times. On Pat McAfee at his regular press conferences. I mean, I don't know what tape he's looking at, but
it's
so if they somehow cut those guys, they might lose Rodgers then because he, like in the thought of, hey, we're going to cut these guys to get better guys. And then he's be like, you can't cut my guys. Those are my guys. And then he might lose it and then quit. So that would suck. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. But if they want money, they got to get rid of the Smiths, Kirksey, Adams, Turner, Wagner. At least Wagner for sure. Maybe not Turner. I don't know. Turner has been – the thing about Turner is this. He sometimes is terrible and he sometimes is okay. But Wagner was really, really bad in this game. Like, really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Turner was okay, and then he was bad. But Wagner was, like, bad and then god-awful. That's all. Like, he was bad. Like, they need to draft a tackle this year. Like, first-round pick tackle, second-round pick tackle.
They don't have a good track record with that either, but they got to hit on one of those because they need some people in there.
Even looking at the young guys on their roster currently, though, are you willing to pay $8 million or whatever Billy Turner's getting to be okay at best. I mean, that just doesn't seem like a smart move to me.
I know.
But I think, I guess this isn't really a question, it's just kind of a thought, but not knowing where the salary cap ceiling is going to be set in coming years, but seeing how much some teams are investing in quarterbacks. I mean, is that a salary cap bubble that if the Packers are smart now and are strategic and not locking up a ton of money for years out, is that something that they could cash in on in the next couple of years where teams can't re-sign high quality talent back because they're dropping $500 million on a quarterback for the next 10 years? Is that something that they should factor in when they're signing or not signing some of these guys back? I guess who knows?
I mean,
but
this is another crazy thought that people are going to think is nuts. Okay. Aaron Rodgers is scheduled to make $36.352 million next year. Okay. He signed for the next 3 years. Okay. That's 19.99% of the salary cap as of right now, as is expected salary cap.
The chat's up, by the way, and I guess just keep saying that we got to get off the AR leaving because it's not happening. But
okay, but what I'm saying is this: his dead cap money is $31.5 million. And people are saying, "Well, that's crazy." And I'm like, okay, well, if he's already a $36.3 million cap hit, how is a $31.5 dead cap hit that big of a deal? You've already got Jordan Love, who might be stinky, I don't know, but your expectations are going to go down. You're playing the NFC West and the AFC North next year. I mean, you're playing the playoff teams: Browns, Steelers, Ravens, and then the Bengals, who are coming up. They're looking better. You're playing 49ers, who were 1 year away from the Super Bowl, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals are almost made the playoffs. Those are 8 games you're going to have to play next year against really good teams. Plus, you got to play the number 1 team in the South, which is the Saints, the number 1 team in the East, which is I don't know who it was. Oh, the Washington. So, which is, are they good? I don't know. And then, of course, you got the Lions and the Bears and the Vikings. But what I'm saying is, you got a really tough schedule. If you dump Rodgers now, trade him, get some picks, the cap hit for this year will be bad. And next year is probably still going to be a COVID-19, less people in the stands year. So you can stink, and it's not going to be like there aren't going to be a bunch of fans. The players won't have to deal with the fans as much at the stadium, and they won't have to deal with reporters as much because they have to only do Zoom meetings and all that kind of stuff. And then the year after that, maybe that's when you start having a team together. And like Rick says, you all of a sudden, the next year, all these dead cap spots that you have for this season from Preston and Za'Darius and Rodgers and Adams and blah, blah, blah. The next year, you got tons of cap money. And you can get good guys. Maybe sign some of these guys back if they're actually good players. Probably not, but whatever. I know it's crazy, and fans are probably, Eckes is probably losing his mind, but listen, if they're not doing right by Rodgers, and Rodgers wants to go somewhere, next year will be bad if they decide to trade him, or he wants to be traded, or whatever the case is. But there is future head in the lights of the head here of money and things that can work, where other teams are going to be cap strapped and they might have to cut some dudes, and we could maybe scoop them up for the cheap. Good players, good aggressive players. And that was the other thing I want to talk about, Rick. I don't know if you're going to bring that up.
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, where I was going to go next is, is it time for the Packers to change their mentality? I mean, we saw a number of teams in the playoffs who brought guys in who, might be, they had reputations for being dirty or uncoachable, guys who've been suspended for off-field issues, substance abuse, domestic issues, and some teams even apparently built their team around them. Tampa, is it time that Green Bay looks at some of these guys? Someone's going to bring in a mean streak, bring in an attitude, or stay with the clean cut, good guys, even if it means that these guys don't have that edge or maybe the raw talent or the speed, explosiveness, whatever, to get it done, or even just the football sense to make these key plays in critical situations. Do they need to take on a bit of a Raiders-esque sort of edge or stay the good guys? old school Raiders, not the new sissy Raiders.
Oh man, with one of the
We
most
asking first.
inconsistent
All right, let's go to
quarterbacks.
Jason before he falls asleep back there.
All right,
Derek
let's go.
Carr. Why is Derek Carr so damn inconsistent, Rick? Like he looks like a superstar one game, and then the next game he stinks. Jeez Louise.
That's been the problem.
Okay. Anyway, so it's a challenging thing because I remember from I used to be a huge basketball fan, still love basketball a lot, and even when a lot of people didn't like the NBA, I still liked it. But NBA is hugely back down, a lot more popular, a lot of more popularity with that league, especially with young people. But I remember the Bulls run. And I didn't hate the Bulls because they won all those championships. I hate the Bulls because the way they won all those championships, because of what Dennis Rodman did, the antics and basically all of the cheap stuff that you could get away with that gave you an advantage. They did. And it put them over the edge and it helped them win championships.
Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's not just Tampa Bay. That's Brady. He just took that with him. He learned it in New England and he took it with him to Tampa. And he said, hey guys, look, this is what we did. Because they're probably all these guys were like, how did you get to all those Super Bowls? How did you win all the Super Bowls? Well, let me tell you, when we're defensive backs, Coach Belichick just said, hold everybody all the time. They can't call it on every play. Don't worry about it. You get a couple of those calls, big deal. Because most of the time you just get to hold people and it's fine. And they can't get open. So whatever. Offensive line, I'm a terrible quarterback if I get pressure on me. So just hold those guys every play. They're not going to call it. Don't worry about it, guys. And then,
it's not just Brady. They have Namdekong Suh on the team.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
no, I understand. And then you get those other characters that are like, hey, yeah, well, maybe we can push the boundaries a little more. Not just cheap, but we'll do cheap stuff too. Hey, great. Whatever the tactical advantage we can get, we will push those boundaries to win. And I've always been a person, when I played sports or when I was a fan of teams of sports, I loved watching the teams that played the right way. And I always wanted to believe that they could overcome. And this is where it comes back to being a Wisconsin sports fan. This is what happens to all of our teams. The Bucks, the Brewers, the freaking Badgers in basketball and in football. You know what happens when you play Ohio State in football. It's a competitive game. The Badgers might have a chance to win. Oh, no, wait. Here's some kind of play or some flag or something that makes the difference in the end. But you know what? As an optimistic fan, the thing I always thought what could possibly be better than overcoming all that BS and beating those guys? Nothing. Nothing would be better than that. But you know what? Time has proven to me you can't. When teams are competitively equal, talent is pretty close. A lot of things are pretty close. Those things make the difference. And I'm sick of it as a Wisconsin sports fan. But then I think about the way I like to enjoy sports and the teams I'm a fan of, and by playing by the rules. So internally, I struggle with this question a lot. And I don't know my answer at this point. Because I want to freaking win, but I don't want to do whatever it takes to win. Because I believe the integrity within the game matters more. So I guess I've just come around that I'd rather try to win with good guys, and if we don't win, I'll just have to deal with the disappointment.
All right. Here's the thing. This is a topic for me because it people that know me know I wasn't the most popular guy around in high school or wherever else, junior high and all the other things. And I had low self-esteem and I wasn't assertive and I didn't, I kind of got walked all over and blah, blah, blah. And I was a nice guy and nice guys finished last. And then finally, after a while, I was just like, I'm not taking this crap anymore. And I stood up for myself. And I was like, whatever. And I ignored the crap. And I became way happier. And I had a little bit of an edge. And I stopped freaking letting what other people say and think bug me. And I got a little tougher. And I got a little more aggressive. And unlike Jason, when I play basketball, I'll throw you an elbow here and there. I might run you into you a couple times. I might maybe stick my freaking hand in your face when I'm doing a hook shot. I might. There's a chance of that. Because I don't have as much talent as the next guy. But I have a will to win. And I have an aggressiveness. And I hate losing. So I don't want to see the Packers get a bunch of cheap, jerky guys. But how about Mike Daniels? Remember Mike Daniels? Mike Daniels was the only Packer in the last 10 years who played on fire. He didn't have the most talent. Matter of fact, he probably didn't have that great a talent. But man, did he fire up and did he bust his butt. And he got all fired up on the sidelines. And Clay Matthews would be like, dude, calm down. You're on the sidelines. Like, what's up with that? But that's just the way Mike Daniels was. And let's take a look at Jair Alexander. Whenever there is a wide receiver pass to the outside, or a screen pass, or a running back to the outside, and Jair's in zone coverage, bam, B-lines makes a play. But the problem is we have too many guys like Kevin King, like Amos, like Savage, like Zadarius, like Preston, who are too passive. So I'm not looking for a cheap player. And even on offense, I love Alan Lazard. I think he's a great guy. But if a guy grabs your shoulder pad, just elbow him a little bit. You're 6'5", and that guy was like 6 feet tall. Just elbow him. Get off him. Fight through it. When you watch the Tampa Bay secondary, not only were they holding, the guy was holding Alan Lazard, was able to get off, pick the ball, and then move a little bit more. Kevin King is like fumbling around like a ding-dong. He has zero talent. I'm sick of guys with zero talent. I'm sick of guys who have no aggressiveness, who don't know what's going on. Like Will Redmond. The reason why they kept saying they're going to play Will Redmond is because, he knows where he's supposed to be. Okay, but he's not aggressive. He doesn't make plays on the ball. He doesn't attack. But watch that safety when he came down and smacked Aaron Jones and caused the fumble. That was one heck of a hit by Whitehead. And he hit Aaron Jones twice. And the first time when he caused the fumble, he got blocked to the ground, jumped back up, and on this tackle, smacked the ball out of Aaron Jones' hand. And then luckily Cunningham was there to receive it. But that guy was aggressive. He wasn't cheap. He was attacking and made a play. When was the last time you saw a Packers safety attack and make a play? That's all I want. They don't have to be
Clinton
cheap.
Dix.
Shut up. They don't have to be cheap. They just have to be aggressive. I want guys who are able to want it more than the next guy. That's why in this Tampa game, out of all the things that went wrong, out of all the things that could have happened, I believe the bottom line why the Packers lost that game is because Tampa's guys wanted it more. Tampa's guys were hungry. Zadarius Smith has got a big fat paycheck. He ain't hungry anymore. Preston Smith got his big paycheck. He's not hungry. Devontae's not hungry. I showed you plays of David Bakhtiari when he was healthy, who could have blocked the guy that he should have blocked, and he just chose not to block that guy. And then Aaron Jones got creamed. He went to the easy block over here on the defensive back instead of blocking the linebacker because he was like, that could hurt. I'm going to go block the linebacker or the defensive back. No! I want aggressive, tough, hard-minded guys who are also good guys. Like Mike Daniels. And who else? Lukey Patrick. If we had 5 Lukey Patricks on the offensive line and 3 Mike Daniels on the defensive line, I think our team wins every time because they would not stop till the whistle blows. They would get in the guy's face. They'd stay within the rules, but they'd be aggressive. But unfortunately, we keep drafting these guys who are smart and they really are good guys and they really know what they're supposed to do, but they never seem to do it. So can we start getting some athletic, aggressive players who aren't jerks, but they're just jerky enough? They might give you an elbow in a basketball game, They might smack you in the face before they shoot it. Just maybe. I might do that to you. And if somebody comes up to them and says, man, you're ugly, they say, F you, buddy. I don't care. This is my hair. I got a big forehead. I got a receding hairline. Kiss my A. It's the way I look. That's what I want. That's the kind of guy I want. And the Packers have too many wussies. We need some guys that are tough and hard-nosed and love football and don't have, like Billy Turner, who's a really good, apparently he's a great designer of clothing. Well, that's awesome, Billy Turner. I'm glad that you're a great designer of clothing, but you can't freaking block anybody for more than a second, apparently. That doesn't help the football team. Back to you.
I would totally agree with that. I mean, I just want to add that, I'm not a proponent of bringing in, these guys that have issues, but it is certainly possible to find guys that play hard, but you still play clean. I mean, you can have an edge, you can be aggressive, you can hit hard, the defense should have the mentality of this team's coming into Lambeau, like we give up nothing, not, oh, all right. There's too many milquetoast guys on the team the last few years. And it's really, almost ironic in a way. You think about the Packers in the glory years, the early days of the team, they're a running team. You think of the Ice Bowl. It's not, finesse playing 7 yards off the guy. It was, push the pile into the end zone, right? What happened to the, playing the Bears, Monsters of the Midway, smash it out, NFC North football? That's gone. I do think they need some guys with edge, but I'm certainly not a fan of bringing in, Osu and Antonio Brown. Even look at some of the guys that the Chiefs have or the Chiefs have gotten rid of. Like it or not, these guys are role models. Some of your younger listeners might not remember the discussion that Charles Barkley stirred up 25, 30 years ago saying that he's not a role model. Like it or not, you are a role model. You're a professional athlete. You're on TV every week. You're making millions of dollars. People are looking up to you. And if you're setting an example of it's okay to smack your wife or girlfriend or kids or, pull a gun on someone, I don't think it's okay. That's not the kind of person that I would want representing my team if I was team ownership, if I was a coach, if I was even on the team. So, I appreciate the Packers have an image as being a fairly clean team, but you can still have a little bit of an edge without going completely to the dark side. So
I just want to say,
2 cents.
I want to say one quick thing. Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking this whole time is if everybody was the same approach and aggressiveness about their job as Lucas Patrick, this team would never lose. Because, yeah, is he the most talented guy? No. And does he sometimes get beat? Yep. But you know what he doesn't do is he doesn't give up. And he plays hard and he plays with the whistle. And he was making Ndamukong Suh really pissed off a bunch of times in that game because he kept blocking him until the play was over. And Suh was like, get off me, man. He's driven 5 yards out of the play. Yeah, because this guy doesn't stop, man. And that's why Lukey's my favorite guy. And I watched his post-game interview. Oh, man. This made me so sad. He almost started crying at one point. He's awesome. And if we can get more guys like that, maybe this is an approach for the Packers. Like, maybe what they should do is no longer draft anyone. Give up all of your draft picks. Only take undrafted guys on your team. Because those guys are going to be hungry. They're going to work hard. They're going to lack talent. But you're going to get maximum effort out of all those dudes.
I disagree with that 100%. That is not an official opinion of Hafeman Brothers. I'm sorry.
Fine.
Listen, we tried that. Our best guys are that. We can't, and then we can't win. We need to get over the top. We need guys like Jair, okay? Guys like Jenkins, our first and second round picks to be hard-nosed guys who get in there and make a play. Not guys like Kenny King, right? Kenny King. We don't need that. Or Kevin Clark. Though actually Kenny Clark did pretty good in this last game. But still, we need Mike Daniels guys. We need Clay Matthews his never give up. He never gave up. Sometimes
Intensity.
he got schooled on the RPO against Kaepernick. We all know Kaepernick ran all over us in those 2 playoff games because Clay Matthews couldn't figure out where the ball was. We know that. But how many times do you see Clay Matthews never give up, come from behind, cause a fumble, then jump on the fumble? I remember that one Giants game he did that. I was just like, oh my God, everybody else is standing around. Clay Matthews caused the fumble. Nobody picked it up, and he went and jumped on it because nobody knew it was a fumble because he hit Eli Manning was throwing the ball. So they thought it was incomplete because it went forward, but it wasn't. It was a fumble. And Clay Matthews is the only guy. He ran 20 yards to go get the ball. That's the kind of guy I want.
It's amazing. It's amazing the Packers have had so many guys, and this is why some people ask the question, especially about the defense: is it the coaching? Is it the philosophy that they're coached to do within the scheme? Because how do you have so many guys that are not aggressive, that are passive on defense? Defensive football is by its nature aggressive. Like, you have to hit people. That's the point of it, right? You're hitting and tackling people. So how do they have so many passive, soft guys in the defense for years and years and years? Is it they just get all the wrong guys, or is it they're coached to not be aggressive? So maybe they just need a big overhaul with the coach and say, guys, go get them. If you get burnt, don't worry about it because our offense will make up for it. But go get them. Go after them, make some plays. Pettin needs to go. You're right, Bernard.
Bernard is sad. Bernard, don't be sad. Well, yeah, you can be sad after that game. God dang it. Go ahead, be sad. What the hell? I was sad. I was sad too. But the difference was this. I gave up because my favorite guy fumbled. And it ripped my heart out. And after that, I was just like, you know what? It's over. There's no freaking way. So when everybody else, after all those interceptions and the Packers were getting the ball, they were coming back and they were only down by a couple, by whatever, 5 points in the fourth quarter. And they got 2 interceptions, and Jason was believing, and Browner and all those guys on the thread were believing. I didn't believe because my heart was broken from Aaron Jones because my guy did not show up in the biggest game that we needed him to show up in. And usually he's a 100% guy. He's usually like a Mike Daniels and all these guys we talk about. And he got hit by Whitehead twice, and it was just too much for him. And it broke my heart. And the worst part is now I'm okay if Aaron Jones doesn't come back because I don't know if he's quite as – I believe Aaron Jones is not a top 5 running back talent in the NFL. He's not. I think he's a top 1 running back in heart and want to and everything else. But his talent, I don't even know if it's top 10 running back in the league. But his top 1 heart made him top 5.
I think, as you had mentioned at some point earlier this season, one of the important things about the way that he ran is that he would avoid taking the big hit, and he got rocked in this game. That it's not really anything you can do about it. You can't avoid every hit hitting you right on, but I think that was a difference in this game compared to what we saw throughout the season. But also, with him getting so few carries, did he ever really get that momentum going? Right? I mean, it was clearly underutilized throughout the season. This is bringing tears to Ben's eyes now. But yeah, it sucked. It was. If that's the end of Aaron Jones at Green Bay, it's a really crappy way to go out. And, that's, I don't know. It's just a huge cloud over this team in the offseason, so many different ways it could go. So be curious to see what shakes out between now and draft time, and then see what kind of chaos ensues during the draft. So.
And I got to say it, here's just an observation. I felt that way from the first times I saw A.J. Dillon run in the preseason, or not the preseason, early in the season, versus when he came back after being out for so long. And yes, he had some forward movement in the Tennessee game late in the snow. But when he gets hit, his momentum gets stopped. Like he gets stood up and his momentum is stopped. And Aaron Jones, not even close to as big as him, somehow continues to fall forward and push forward as he runs. Even Jamal Williams, much more forward push and lean on finishing his runs. Dylan, the only time he really ran through some guys and got some forward movement, he actually got stood up and stopped, and MVS came up his back and started pushing him.
MVS did not push him on that play.
Yes, he did. It helped him a little bit.
Watch it back. A.J. Dillon moved his legs and got 6 more yards after contact. That was 8. MVS couldn't push anybody. He
gets stood up a lot.
Come on.
He gets stood up a lot. Don't you talk about the MVP of this game for the Packers like that?
MVS, God, yeah, we didn't even bring him up.
Son of a gun that he freaking
make a play. I think we're done with the debate part, right, Rick? We're good?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're
the hell time is it?
Closing in on 2 hours here, so.
Well, we can't leave without talking about MVS and the player of the game. I mean, that dude was unbelievable. MVS was the man. He did everything, and he was doing in-cutting routes. He was catching the ball strong. He was running with it. Fought through contact. Concentrated on that deep catch. I mean, MVS was awesome in this game. Awesome.
It's one of those things where they showed his stats. He had over 800 yards this year and 7 touchdowns. And how many drop touchdowns, deep touchdowns? I mean, he should have had like 1,200 yards and like 11, 12 touchdowns with only like 60 receptions this year. He would have broken some kind of record with the most yardage and touchdown. They said that he had 40 4
40 plus
receiving plays of like touchdowns of like 50 yards or more or something like that. And the next guy was like 2. I mean, he's just, and part of that is, of course, his quarterback is awesome deep thrower. So let's not talk, we say that too. I mean, if he had a different quarterback, he wouldn't be able to get those perfect balls. But he also dropped like freaking 3 wide open super bombs. So it's like the guy would have had, I mean, oh my God, if he could pull it together, he could be a number 1 threat. And then Tunyon could be your number 2 threat, and Lazard your number 3 threat. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I hate Devontae Adams. I think is the guy who's got to go. He's got to go for Rodgers to be the best he can be, and for this team to be the best it can be. I think Devontae's got to go. People are probably thinking I'm a lunatic. I mean, I also said Justin Jefferson was going to suck, so I obviously don't. Maybe I don't know anything about receivers, so that's just my opinion.
Oh man. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna give my Lucas Patrick jersey anyway. He's the man. I love Lucas Patrick. He played a good game too. He wasn't perfect, but damn, he played hard. Rick?
All right. I think we're good. Let's close it out. Thanks everybody for watching. Oh yeah, Rick, get some final thoughts from the Rick.
Whoa. I don't know. It was a heck of a run. I'd have to admit, early in the season, I didn't see them making it this far, looking as good as they did down the stretch. For me, the Tennessee game was really a turning point where it showed like the defense could actually show up and play a decent game. So, I think they made some significant improvements over the course of the year, and it was fun to watch. And for me personally, it's more fun following them during the season, keeping up on things with you guys, seeing the analysis every week. Something I look forward to, especially now when can't go out and do anything. So, well, not that I would go out and do much anyway before, but, after a minute, it's been fun doing this with you guys each week. And, not sure what I'm going to do on my Fridays if you don't keep the weekly thing going. So,
well, that's Brews and Bros.
Short.
Thanks.
Don't sell yourself short. You
I had a couple Brews, I had Bros.
You got a couple of dance moves, Rick. Don't sell yourself short there.
Yeah.
Well,
Friday is still we probably will still do some Friday. I mean, Fridays was Jason's thing. He came up with that. Brews and Bros during quarantine. He just wanted to keep people hey, everybody, we didn't always talk about Packers. We talked about weird crap, We had Mo on for some reason, he's a Viking
got lots
fan.
of stuff I could talk about. I mean, I got, and we got Bucks coming up. We can keep up. We can go with the Bucks a little bit.
Bucks have been scary lately, I got to say.
that's for another time. Anyway, Rick, you're awesome. You guys who have watched us all this season, you guys are all awesome. Tell people that we don't suck too bad, and maybe they
Yeah,
can
we don't
check it
suck
out
too
too. Hey, I appreciate all the discussion, all the interaction, the chat, everybody chiming in, giving it your best. Look, I'm sorry, we're just giving some real talk about the Pack here tonight. Don't get us wrong. We're Packers fans. We want the Packers to be good. It's just there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and it's after the way that season ended, it's tough. It's tough to swallow again after. I saw just something that pisses me off. As I saw, right away somebody putting out a thing about how Aaron Rodgers is the only quarterback to ever lose 4 straight championship games or something like that. Come on, guys.
I'm telling you, man, he's going to be the host of Jeopardy. Just like I said last year, Mike McCarthy was going to be the head coach of the Cowboys. I was right. I didn't say he was going to be good. I just said I knew he could be head coach of the Cowboys. I'm telling you, Rodgers is going to take a look at the situation with the Packers, and he's going to have such a great time hosting Jeopardy that he's going to walk away and he's going to say, you know what? I think I'm done. I think I've done enough to show everyone how great I was. I did everything I could accomplish with as much as I could with this team. And the situation I'm walking back into next season is not that great. And I want to enjoy my life. And I've made enough money to do that. So I'm telling you, I wouldn't be shocked. A good possibility. It's a good possibility. And as Packer fans, I hope that if that does happen, that Packer fans don't like freak out on him and treat him like dog piss. I mean, come on, he was awesome for all these years. Just let the guy have a good thing, And if he comes back, awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's just something tells me his mind is at a place where I think he's ready for, he's ready to really just live life to the fullest. And I don't know if football is part of that at this point. I think he's ready to just kind of. And once he gets the taste of hosting, I think that's what's going to turn it over. I don't think maybe right now he's like, I want to play football. But then once he gets the taste of that and being a part of that Jeopardy world, watch him love it so much that he might actually walk away.
Well, whenever he hangs it up, whether it's this year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever, one thing I could see being an issue that could keep him from going into coaching or something. He seems like such a perfectionist or has such high standards that I could see it being extremely frustrating for him to go out there and see, especially the quarterback or whoever on the offense, not executing plays the way they should be done. It's clear he's got very high standards, at least for himself. So, I could see it being really difficult, for him to go into coaching and have to turn that control over to someone else and not be able to go out there and do it yourself. You're just turning over the reins and count on these people to do it right and not get frustrated and yell and scream and whatever when they're not doing that. So
that's why it's so crazy that he's a football player, because you're as dependent on the rest of your team in this sport as you are of any sport. So yeah, it's different, man. One thing's for sure, regardless if he's playing football or when he stops playing football, he probably gets to be on Pat McAfee Tuesdays. So look forward to that.
Heck yeah, he was there today. They weren't sure. It was like 1 second before they started, and all of a sudden there he was. And they're like, hey, he is here. Because they were thinking he wasn't. Thanks, Dave. Double doink, man. You were there and like right away after the draft, after our draft video, and then you left for a while. You came back and you left for a while. It's nice to see you back. Thanks for being part of our discussions. And Bernard, he's still hanging around. We all know that guy's been here since the start of the season. Because every week he gets nervous, and then he gives us the huge Packer victory score at the end. That's always a highlight of my Friday night. Is Bernard's worried about everything, and then by the end of the show, he thinks Packers are going to win by three touchdowns. So hey, that's
you guys are pretty persuasive. I think that's a testament to your skills and strategy they're presenting.
Well, you're right. I mean, we do tell them if the Packers do all those things, they will be successful. So if they only listen
they
to
just
us,
don't ever do that stuff. That's the problem.
If they always listen to us, we'd win every game. But you know how that goes. Anyway, you guys are all great. Stay well. Take care.
Don't forget Balaz. You got to grow your international.
Oh my God! I always forget about Balaz because he's never in the chat. But gosh dang it, that guy! Every week he's got something going on. He is the man. He is the man.
That's true.
And that one time when we went live on Sunday morning and he was in the live chat, I think he loved that, and we were excited to see him in there too because he's sleeping right now, obviously. So it's good that he always checks us out every week too. So that's awesome.
You're gonna blow his mind with any talk about the Packers signing nasty guys or cheap guys or dirty guys.
I know he loves the good guys. That's the whole thing. That's why he became a Packer fan. He was like, I like the good guys. You know, he likes Samwise Gamgee, Lord of the Rings. That's what he said. But he likes Gimli too. His favorite two guys were our favorite two guys, or most important guys. So he understands. Get the same wavelength, Balaz and the Hafeman Bros.
Ocean separates us, but even an ocean can't, separate our thoughts and our minds. So Balaz is the man.
YouTube
a lot of
helps.
thoughtful comments from him. What's that, Rick?
YouTube helps.
Yeah.
It bridges the distance.
All right. Good to talk with you guys as always. Thanks for listening to all of our nonsense and the good stuff and some of our rants. It was therapeutic for me. I feel better. So thanks for that too.
Me too.
I was lenient with the timer. I felt like it was therapeutic for Ben.
Well, if Rick wouldn't be here, I would have rambled on for a half an hour straight. So that's why I was like, we have to do a debate or else it's going to be really a bad show.
Thanks for that awesome background too, Rick. Love it.
I figured it's either that or my messy basement. So.
Yeah, but look at that. You got
Luke
like Patrick on there, some of our favorite guys in there, Tunyon, and nice. And Hafeman Bros with the G. That's what it should be, actually. All those backgrounds they do, when they do their interviews and stuff shouldn't be AmFam and all this stuff. We got to get in there as a sponsor, but we need your help. Yeah. Some money to Hafeman Bros, and we will sponsor the Packers.
You need sponsors so you can sponsor?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Take care, guys. Thanks again, Rick. You're awesome.
Have a good night.